Hey, it's Ed with another edition of Ed Talks. I do really believe I have probably the best job in the world because I get to hang out with cool people like Jeanne Vries Sands. Jeanne, welcome to Ed Talks.
Thanks for having me, Ed.
You're an awesome person, and I recently got to meet your husband as well. And that kind of explains a little bit about your last name, right? Your husband's from the Netherlands.
Yeah, my husband, also a CIO, is from the Netherlands. And when we got married, we decided to combine our last names, and here we are.
Yeah, and you're both CIOs. How funny is that? When you got married, did you ever think were you already both down sort of that CIO track?
Yeah, my husband and I actually met at work many years ago, and we were colleagues. And, there's always that person on the team that you don't really like. And that was kind of my husband. And then once we started talking, we recognized that the things that were most important to us, family, continuing to better ourselves as people, exercise, you're a fond believer in that one, that those were the same things that were important to me, that were important to him. And, some of those common, just foundational things, tenets and principles in life that hold true across personalities. And even today, I think we're still very much opposites, but definitely a great combination together.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. You're a great person, and we could spend an hour. I could talk about all the accolades about you as a person, but I want to focus on your leadership because that's how I first knew you. I got to know you through conferences, and then I would see you at professional organizations. And you're not only a great CIO and a great leader, but you're also a great connector. And I want to talk a little bit about how you've managed to manifest that over time. So tell us first, for someone who might not know you, I mean, the your leadership path has been extraordinary and continues to be. Tell us a little bit about some of the organizations where you serve.
Yeah, I was very lucky. Early in my career, I started working at Gunderson Lutheran, and this is back in the time where folks developed their own electronic health records. So I was fortunate to work there. They had their own clinical workstation, they called it, back in the early days before meaningful use, and worked there. Got to understand the benefits of an electronic health record shortly after college. And from there, they're now known as Amplify Health, was able to move to Aurora Healthcare in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And that led to them then becoming advocate, almost 10 years there. And the opportunities just followed. I find myself a very passionate person. And as you mentioned, Ed, to me, it's all about the people. It's about wanting to have influence and wanting to continue to better people's lives, patients, clinicians, organizations. And that starts with your team. I'm re-listening to the book, Good to Great, and it talks about the most important thing is the people, and it's the right people. That's where you start. It's not with a strategy, you start with the people. And so my whole career has been around people. And like you mentioned, that's where we got acquainted. I think when I was at Presbyterian out of New Mexico, such an amazing company that does so much with so little. There's a lot of patients that are reliant on government payers in that state. They are both a provider system as well as a payer, and they do such a great job balancing it all. Then had an opportunity to become a regional CIO for SSM. After some time there, was asked to come to the corporate office in St. Louis, did that for a bit, and then made a transition to for-profit private equity-backed healthcare and behavioral health with Summit here in Nashville. So I've had an amazing journey so far, hopefully many years left to go, but I've done some amazing things. And again, it's all because of the people, the teams, the folks that I've had the pleasure of meeting along the journey and continue to work with today.
Yeah, and what I appreciate about you, and I want you to dig into it a little bit for our audience, is you're not sort of this status quo leader, and they're fine. Sometimes that's what you need. You need a leader who's like just keeps the trains running. But you've done some amazing things. I mean, you've come in and really fixed things. You've transformed things. You embrace these challenges and make a big difference. So tell us a little bit, like, where did that come from?
Yeah, I think I've always been a problem solver. I think I don't want to date myself, but certainly I was reading the Choose Your Own Adventures and the mystery books as a youth, before we had escape rooms
Yeah.
formally and those types of things. But it was all around how do you make things better and how do you constantly iterate and improve? And, when I think about transformation and fixing broken things, I'm a mom, a wife, a daughter, and, those are the things I like to do. I like to fix problems. I like to make things orderly and find commonalities and connections between disparate things. And a lot of that flows into my work. And it's really about taking all the information I gather personally, professionally, in the external environment and really bringing it all together to create amazing outcomes for the organizations. And every organization at whatever stage of maturity has opportunities to improve. I believe that I have opportunities to improve, and we're all on this journey. And as you think about it, as an IT leader, a technology leader, you have the unique opportunity to come in, really assess the situation, and then start to drive some of that change in really meaningful ways that, again, at the end of the day, impacts patients' lives positively. So I think I've been given a lot of opportunities to do that, whether we go back to my early days at Aurora, where we actually had created our own patient portal that we certified for meaningful use ourselves with the ONC, which back then, who knew how hard that would be? But here we were doing that. To, more recently, when I'm looking at how do we help patients get the care that they so desperately need in behavioral health by optimizing workflows for admissions. It's innovation can take many different looks and feels and involves people, process, and technology all together.
Yeah, and I like how you've married both this leadership style. Sometimes a type of leader that comes in, transformation, fix problems, sometimes they have a little bit of a deficit on the people side, but you've got both things going. You're a people connector, you're team oriented, and that has manifested itself also with like hymns and what you've been doing with hymns and the board. So you're on the Tennessee chapter of hymns board. Tell us about that. Like, what kind of cool things are you doing there?
Yeah, we're doing amazing, cool things. The Tennessee Hymns chapter, don't tell this to the people in Texas, and I know you're from Texas, but in Texas, they always have to say, oh, everything's bigger. So every time I tell them, I think we're the biggest chapter. No, I think we're bigger. And then I tell it to my friend in Georgia, and he's like, no, I think we're bigger. I've been told that the Tennessee Hymns chapter is one of the largest, around 2,500 members. Our board is very, very active. We like to consider ourselves the healthcare city. That's kind of how we're branding ourselves. And now we have Oracle joining us, nice presence from HCA, CHS, all these amazing healthcare organizations. So we're really at an intersection of, the startups, the people coming out of the amazing colleges locally. Ed, you and I had a chance to go to Belmont to see their new College of Medicine. Amazing things coming out of there. Lipscomb, Meharry, Vanderbilt, so many great schools here locally. So the Tennessee chapter just has this great intersection of all of that. Amazing companies, seeing both nonprofit as well as for-profit healthcare. And it's all just really becoming together and melding together in this healthcare city that we have here. So I'm very involved in that. I definitely believe in giving back. One thing you probably don't know as much about me, Ed, is that I'm also very involved in a female technology group called T200.
Yep.
I actually run the technology platforms. I'm the leader over those. And, it's kind of like a little side gig where we've outsourced that to a company now that we have over 2,000 members. But it was a group founded by some of the most amazing technology female leaders that we have, people who were part of Fortune 100 companies. You probably know Suja, who was formerly of Common Spirit. She is one of the founding members. Now we have other leadership who's kind of taken on the reins, but just an amazing group of females that continue to empower the next generation so that they can be successful in their careers. So very involved in both of those groups.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, little known fact is in 1997, Tennessee Hymns chapter ceased to exist. There was this gentleman, may still be leading out there, named Doug Turner. I had moved to Nashville HCA. I became the president of the Tennessee chapter of Hymns. And 25 years later, yeah, it's pretty badass. Nice
Oh,
job.
I didn't know that. We don't have
Yeah.
like the wall of the past presidents. We need to maybe start that.
It was fun times for sure. You're an amazing leader, amazing person, as I said at the beginning. Thank you so much for being my guest on EDTalks.